What do you say? What do you know? It's the full Monte Sports Show. It is Sunday, August 2nd, 2020. I am your host, Monte Perez, aka the Sports Whisperer. You can follow me on all sorts of social media on Twitter, MonteJP231, on Facebook, Monte Perez, and on Instagram, Monte Perez2. I want to thank everyone who has been tuning in over the past few weeks. The numbers are going up. I had a certain number of views I wanted to reach. I set it at a high mark, and we are going to reach that today with your help. So I want to thank everyone who has tuned in. If you like this show, our goal is to do it 5 days a week, and I can only do that with your help. And also, feel free to comment on the top right-hand part of the show. Part of my job is to be more interactive. That's why I went from a podcast to a live YouTube show. So feel free to comment. And I actually have some new toys that I'm going to be using today this week. So we are constantly evolving. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're saying to yourself, Monte, new toys? What are you talking about? What are you talking about with these new toys? Are you talking about hungry hippos? No, I'm not talking about hungry hippos. Are you talking about Monopoly? By the way, is Monopoly a toy or is it a board game? I don't know. But thank goodness during quarantine, during our social distancing, that I have not played Monopoly, because if you look at this right here, I am the worst sore loser when it comes to Monopoly. The last time I played this board game, I lost and I ripped the board up. I am the biggest sore loser in the history of the world when it comes to Monopoly. Now, we have the best guests all across the country coming on each week. That is why this show is growing in popularity, and this week is no exception. In about 15 minutes, we are going to have the Titletown Brawl crew. Jay Andrews, host and Super Bowl 45 winner, former Packer running back Brandon Jackson will join us to talk about the NFL and the Green Bay Packers. And in about 40 minutes, George Lopez is going to join us. Now, listen, George texted me on Thursday. He was very, very upset. He is a mild-mannered guy, especially on this show, but he is so fired up because Joe Kelly, pictured here, threw at some Houston Astros, and he got suspended for 8 games. And if I shared the text messages, that I couldn't believe it. I thought someone hacked into George's phone. The expletives were flying. He is so mad about the 8-game suspension. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. They lost last night. I'm going to say this, and I don't want to come off as an alarmist, but I am worried about the Los Angeles Lakers. I've been worried about them for months, despite the great regular season. They might be in trouble. And finally, Rico Show Me the Money Graziano will join us at the top of the hour to talk about the NFL roundtable discussion that he has. And then we close out the show with Rico's rants. Now, look, I posted this last week, and people were not sure what this was. This is from the movie Napoleon Dynamite. The gentleman on the right is called Uncle Rico. And he says stuff throughout the movie that you don't know if he's borderline, if he's high, if he's drunk, if he's has no concept of reality. But he uses phrases like this. Back in 92, I used to be able to live the pigskin a quarter mile. He just says things that make no sense. So we think that this is fitting for Rico Show Me the Money Graziano and his ending rant, because I don't know what he's going to say. So, but let me start with this. So I used to run probably 10 to 15 miles per week, and I hated running. I despised it. I think the most I ever ran at one time was 13 miles. And again, Monty, what are you running from? What are you running from? Is it the lack of love in your life? Is it the lack of feeling good enough? What are you running from? So I stopped running because a few years ago, my parents took our family to a Las Vegas vacation. Now, I couldn't go because I was part owner, manager, head chef of a restaurant. And when you work at a restaurant, you got to work 12 hours a day. I couldn't just leave. So, my parents, being the giving people that they are, I said, Mom and Dad, I'm not going to Vegas. Can you buy me a bicycle instead? And they bought me this bike. Now, one of the reasons why I didn't like running was because I never got that runner's high. People say all the time, when you run 5, 6 miles, you get that runner's high. I never got it. And I never got a biker's high. I ride about 70 to 100 miles per week. I've never gotten a biker's high. But today, I got a biker's high for the first time. And I know what you're thinking. Wow, how many miles did you ride on the bike? I didn't ride a lot. I did about 5 miles today. But the marijuana smoke coming off the beach today, and I'm not talking for a block where you normally smell it. This was a good mile to a mile and a half. It was so strong. I actually saw a police officer standing by the beach, and I said, "Do you smell that?" He goes, "Do I smell it?" He goes, "Why do you think I work every Sunday at this time? It's every week." So listen, if we come back from a break, if in between guests, you see me just chowing down on donuts, it's not because I'm hungry. It's not because I'm cheating on my diet. It's because the amount of smoke that I inhaled while wearing a mask today was incredible. It was insane. And the police officer, God bless him, saying, "Hey, I work every Sunday for this reason." So I mean, it was just absolutely hysterical. So we start each show with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, we always have a theme for this, and the good this week is going to be acts of selflessness, giving of oneself, being giving, being a good person. Now, here's a picture of my lovely mother. Now, my mom has told me since I can remember, don't do good deeds to get credit, just do good deeds to be a giving person. And when I used to tell her, Mom, I did this for this person or I donated this, I didn't get any credit, she said, just be nice. Doesn't matter if you get credit. Be nice. So I don't know where or when my mom turned into Patrick Swayze from Roadhouse. I want you to be nice. Now, she never got to the part where it said, until it's not time to be nice. My mom has always said, just be nice, be giving, help other people. So the good, the bad, and the ugly theme is just being giving and try to be nice. So let's start with Kyrie Irving. Now, before we get into what Kyrie Irving did, where he's being giving, he's being nice, I have to show this clip. Now, for those of you who don't follow basketball, I'm going to explain what this clip means to NBA and to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving went to the NBA Finals, and they faced off against a Golden State Warrior team who was the best regular season team in history. The Golden State Warriors were the best regular season team in history. Wait, Monte, what are you talking about? How can you say they're the best regular season team in history? It's the Chicago Bulls, right? Everyone thinks it was the Chicago Bulls. But no, the Chicago Bulls went 72-10 with Michael Jordan. 72-10. The Golden State Warriors went 73-9. 73-9. They beat the Bulls record. Now, the Cleveland Cavaliers had not won a world championship since 1964. Their basketball, I mean, the city of Cleveland, since Jim Brown and the Browns won in 1964. The Cleveland Indians didn't win. The Cleveland Baroons, which was a former NHL hockey team in Cleveland, never won. The Cleveland Indians never won a championship. So no team in the history of Cleveland since 1964 won a title. Now, they play the Golden State Warriors, who we already established were the greatest team in the history of the NBA during the regular season. They broke Michael Jordan's record. The Cavs are down 3 games to 1. 3 games to 1. No team has ever come back in the history of NBA Finals down 3 games to 1. They force a game 7 at the Oracle Arena. They force a game 7. And the Cleveland Cavaliers, with Kyrie Irving, win a championship, doing something that no one has ever done. So don't tell me that's not the most important shot in the history of the NBA, because it is. And here's you see, since 1964, Cleveland never won a championship. And that's why that is the most important shot. That is the biggest shot right here in the history of the entire NBA. Now, so what did Kyrie Irving do? The 20-year-old point guard recently announced through his KIA Empowerment Initiative, he's committing $1.5 million to help cover the salaries of WNBA players who forgo playing during the 2020 season because of the pandemic or other reasons. So Kyrie Irving, great job by you. Absolutely tremendous. Donating $1.5 million to the WNBA players who decide to opt out. Now, again, we're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We're talking about being selfless, giving, being kind, and just thinking about other people. So this is Alex Caruso of the Los Angeles Lakers. Alex Caruso is putting his health first amidst the coronavirus pandemic. The NBA player opened up to ESPN about his decision to skip his older sister's wedding, which took place last week outside of Austin, Texas. Originally, Alex planned to attend Megan Caruso, his sister's wedding, and as he put it, Megan is my number one fan, or as close to being a number one fan as anyone can be. The NBA's health and safety guideline in the bubbles allows players to leave, but he would have to be quarantined for 10 days if he came back. Now, Alex received approval to go to the wedding, but he reached out to LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and he said, and I quote, "They supported my decision either way." The LA Lakers star said, "They also helped me realize how important I am and what we are trying to do here." Now, Avery Bradley didn't make it. He's not in the bubble. He will not play there because his young son has bronchial issues, so he didn't want to be exposed to the virus. And Rajon Rondo hurt his hand. He'll be out for like 2 months. They had my back. I felt genuine support from the organization. 2 days before his big sister's day, on July 18th, Alex decided not to go. He said, I Skyped with them. There were some people that should have been wearing masks. They didn't. I would say that 75% of the people had them on. Texas and Florida, they kind of be their own company, their own countries at times. So people were just doing their own thing. Look, Alex, I live in Florida, and I'm just going to tell you, yeah, it pretty much is a disaster here. I mean, Florida does their own thing too many times. Too many times. They are literally like their own country. Finally, Alex said, if I was on a team that didn't have title aspirations, I would just, probably go. But we want to win a ring. We want to win a title. So good for Al. I mean, think about that. Family is so important, especially now. You don't know, what could happen if people are going to get sick. But Alex Caruso did not go to his sister's wedding, who by his own admission is one of his best friends, because he wants to win a title. He didn't want to be exposed, and he didn't want to let his teammates down. Now, that is the very definition of being selflessness, like my mom always says. So good for you, Alex Caruso. Now, let's go to the bad. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's my mom again, one more time. My mom was so angry at me for pointing out that Lou Williams, who left the bubble for the Clippers. Now, he's the sixth man for the Clippers. He could score about 20 points a game. He's so important to their championship aspirations. But Lou Williams left the funeral and went to a strip club on his way back. And now he's in quarantine for 10 days. He's in quarantine for 10 days. Now, after the story broke, Lou Williams said, I didn't go for the strippers. I went for the food. Because listen, I always thought this, right? If you're getting a lap dance from a stripper, the one thing you want to do to be more attractive is have buffalo wings on your face. Lou, you went for the food? Now, listen, I don't have many mottos in life, but this is definitely one of them. I have the right to life, liberty, and chicken wings. If anyone knows me, they know that if it was socially acceptable, I would bathe in buffalo sauce. I love chicken wings. Love them. As a matter of fact, not that I'm a criminal, but if I was on death row, I posted this picture a few months ago. This would be my last meal. On death row, you get 4 meals and an alcoholic beverage. I would have lobster tails, New York strip, steak fries, Santa Margarita Pinot Grigio, and of course, buffalo wings. Buffalo wings. This is my motto. I have the right to life, liberty, and buffalo wings. Now, here's one of my favorite quotes of all time. One of my favorite quotes of all time is this right here. The reason most people fail instead of succeed is they trade what they want most for what they want at the moment. I will say this again. The reason most people fail instead of succeed is they trade what they want most for what they want at the moment. Now, look, what that means is don't tell me, Lou Williams, you want to win a title. Don't tell me you. I'm going to have Brandon Jackson on in a couple minutes, and he's going to talk about what it meant to winning a Super Bowl. You have to sacrifice. You got to be disciplined. Going to a strip club in the midst of a pandemic is not sacrificing. You think you want to win, but you don't. Alex Caruso didn't go to his sister's wedding, his best friend. He didn't go for the Lakers because he's trying to win a title. So don't tell me you want to win, Lou, because you don't. Again, the reason most people fail instead of succeed is they trade what they want most for what they want at the moment. And you can apply this to everyday life. You know, I've cut out Gatorade, has sugar. I've cut out soda. I'm trying to get leaner. Okay. So I don't have a piece of pie. I don't buy donuts. Although I should have today because, after, being on the beach and smelling all that marijuana smoke, I probably want something to eat right now. But let's just move on. So we go to the good, the bad, and now finally the ugly. And this will probably annoy some Chicago Bears fans. But former Bears and Saints coach Mike Ditka said this week that if players don't want to stand for the national anthem, they should leave the country. Mike, you old fossil, you out of touch buffoon. This is a racist dog whistle. Every immigrant has been told this since America opened up. When they speak out against discrimination or in injustices, you hear, go back to your own country if you don't like it. I've heard this said to me, and I was born in New Jersey. I've had this said to me, and I was born in New Jersey. You know what, Mike? I'm glad that Martin Luther King didn't leave the country because he didn't like what he saw. I'm glad that Colin Kaepernick has peacefully protested. Okay? After all, the Boston Tea Party, where our founding fathers destroyed $1.7 million worth of merchandise. That was the first riot to break free. These people aren't doing anything wrong, Mike. They're peacefully protesting. And for you to sit there and say they should leave the country, maybe you should leave the country, Mike, because here's why. We're not going back to racism. We're not going back to people being discriminated against because of their color or their religion. Aaron Rodgers said it best. Aaron Rodgers said it best. Despite what the right-wing media says, despite what Jerry Jones once said, despite what politicians say, kneeling has never been about disrespecting the flag. Not now, not then, not ever. And there you have it. That is the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, guys, I said I had a little toy that I wanted to implement today, and here it is. We're going to call this section Surfing the Crowd. Surfing the Crowd. Here we go. Diane Lees, I love that saying. Cynthia is always trying to get me to get off Pinot Grigio. This is from a woman who drinks Chardonnay. Nasty. Andrea, I am a Moscato girl. And of course, Laura is the wine from the box. So I'm trying to really, really, really implement the good and bad and the ugly, and people are just talking about wine during the show. So now we are going to bring on two guests who've been on the Full Monty show before. Let's bring on Jay Andrews, and let's bring on Brandon Jackson, and let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. Jay, how you doing today?
Doing
Brandon, how
good.
are
How
you
you
guys?
doing?
Great, great. Thanks for having us on again, Monty.
Jay,
Always fun.
Jay, I like that setup in the background there. Let's get a closer look at that with you. Wow, you're really set up nicely. Look at that.
Oh,
You like that, huh?
nice.
Very nice. And Brandon, let's take a look at your look at that. That is
I mean,
classy, my friend. All right, guys. So what we normally do, when we start, what we normally do is we let me hide the wine conversation for now. But what we normally do here is we give you something for guests to come on and look at, and it kind of puts them in a really, really happy mood. So, Jay, I'm going to start with you. Talk about this right here and what this means to you as a Packer fan.
Well, let's put it like this. That was a moment that the legend of the best Hail Mary thrower started right there. And
that would be who?
Aaron freaking Rodgers,
Right,
Aaron.
right.
So,
Okay.
and there was a cool story that a coach of his said that he actually started practicing that in 2006 and 2007 when he was still on the practice squad and running the scout team, that he would do that with former receiver Ruvel Martin in warmups. And so that's kind of a neat thing. He developed that skill long before he had to use it.
Okay, and Brandon, I got this for you. Now, the question
yeah,
I have, is that the forearm that is throwing the defender to the ground, or is that the snow that made him fall?
that's the forearm, and the snow is just adding the insult to injury.
And finally, Brandon, give us a minute right here. I posted this quote before, and it says the reason most people fail instead of succeed is they trade what they want most for what they want for the moment. As a former basketball coach, we made it to the Elite Eight. I've won numerous AAU titles, but you won the Super Bowl here. Talk to
Yes,
people. People think that happens during the season. I mean, this is a lifelong quest that started for you in high school, correct?
that's correct. That's correct. Well, first off, I would like to say I love that quote because it means so much to me. It's like my career, high school, college, NFL career in a nutshell. Because I had to sacrifice watching Super Bowls to study for the ACT. And so I sacrificed two Super Bowls to study for the ACT and eventually getting to college, getting to the NFL, and winning a Super Bowl. So that quote goes well. Also, that quote goes well with me being in the NFL in 2010 when what's his name, James Starks took over for me going into the playoffs. Like
Did
I
you
said, I
mentally
went up.
block it? Did you mentally block his name out right there, because it was such
No,
a
no,
motivational
no,
memory?
no. See, what you have to understand is that quote is set with me when you said that because I said the same thing, to James Starks. I told him I'm here for one goal, and that's to win a Super Bowl. Whatever you need, I'm here. I'll help you. Let's do this and let's do it together. So for the moment, yes, I wanted that spot. But for the goal, the overall goal was to win a Super Bowl. And that's how our team and our coaches saw best fit.
So, guys, I'm going to put this up here. We have the Green Bay Packer thing. Now, Brandon, you won a Super Bowl, but do you have a mug with your name on it with Green Bay Packers? Because I got to tell you, when I drink this, I feel like a winner, Jay.
Well,
Well,
oh geez, he's got a freaking try. He's always pulling something out. I'm surprised he didn't have his Super Bowl ring ready to throw out their fist up.
I was trying to be modest, but Monty came for me, so I had to show him.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, Jay, let's start with you. Let's start with you, Jay. Look, the Jets traded away Jamal Adams to the Seattle Seahawks. Who do you and they just lost C.J. Mosley. He opted out. Who do you think has improved the most in the NFL with trades and their offseason? Let's start with you, Jay.
Well, I mean, you're going to have to look at it in the situation they're in right now with COVID. You have to really kind of reevaluate now positions of rookies that take longer time to develop, and then kind of factor in that they no longer have that live preseason game action to get going. So you have to reevaluate what you thought coming out of the draft and now. And so when I look at it, the landscape that way, I break it down the NFC and the AFC, and I got two teams for each. In the NFC, I like the Cardinals and the Eagles because you've got veterans at those same positions. I believe in Kyler Murray. The Arizona Cardinals add DeAndre Hopkins and shed a overpaid, underproductive running back. And that defense with that offense and Kyler Murray running it, he's talented enough. They just have to do enough. I'm not saying they're going to win the division or win the Super Bowl, but I like them just to improve on and maybe make that push for a playoff team. The Eagles, Carson Wentz has to show that he can make those weapons around him not just better, but like Aaron Rodgers did from 2013 to the present. With, you have to be that guy that's earning that paycheck. And that defense improved on the secondary with Darius Slay and Darby a whole bunch there. And that's where they were getting burned. And the rest of their defense, I think, is pretty solid. So I like those two in the NFC. And then the Chiefs and the Ravens. Everybody else, I just don't think they did enough. The rest of the AFC, it's a weak conference. I don't think they did enough. I think the Titans are like the 2008 Dolphins, where it's a nice story for one season, but to repeat that, you double down, you franchise tagged, Henry, you paid Tannehill. I just don't see defenses not catching up with what was successful after being able to look at that on film. So I still like the Chiefs and Ravens.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with Jay's screenshot. It's just a photo of him. I believe he's calling from the phone, but it's a great setup. All right, Brendan, let's go to you. What two teams in the NFL do you think took a step back?
Well, the first team I thought took a step back, and you can really look at it and kind of tell with the New England Patriots. And well, you could say, well, they got a MVP in their quarterback, but when you truly look at it, when you got 7 players on the defense, well, mostly 7 players, but when you got players on the defensive side of the ball that's opting out, then that you really have to look at that and take that into account, given the fact that the New England Patriots normally win Super Bowls by how they play defense, not their offense, but by how they play defense. And so when you look at these guys, you look at Dante Hightower, he has a birth of his child. And then you look at Patrick Chung, he's expecting the child. And then Brandon Bolden, Marcus Cannon at O-line. And you got the fullback Danny and the O-line Najee. And then the wide receiver, Marquez Lee.
Yeah, so, listen, they lost, I think it's 7 players who are opting out because of COVID-19. Yes. I'm gonna talk about this later on the show, but I'm gonna flip the script here a little bit. I think this is Bill Belichick's greatest dream. Bill Belichick loves to develop players. He loves playing young guys and seeing them grow. And people talk about tanking. It's not tanking. They're just going to be in a developmental season this year. He's going to develop these players. So when everyone comes back and maybe they get Trevor Lawrence, maybe they get Justin Fields from Ohio State, but I'm pretty confident that even if the Patriots win 6 games, they're going to be ready to go next season. Do you agree with that?
I think they'll be somewhat ready to go this year. I don't see them losing that many games, maybe 5 or 6, but I still believe that they can get into a playoffs. But when you also look at it, they also, lost some other guys, Cal Van Noy and Jamie Collins and Eldon Roberts. So those 3 are the staple of their defense that they've truly lost. You add Chung back to the defense, then you lose him again. Exactly. So he wasn't really a major factor in that.
And who's your second team that took a step back?
I would say the Jets, even though they're already taking major steps back.
That's just my from team, the loss by the way. But go ahead.
Sorry, just from the loss of Adams. When you lose your major defensive guy, you're a franchise player. You have to look at it in many ways as a loss. And then you lose your offensive lineman, Leo, and then your linebacker, CJ Mosley. So it was kind of teeter-tottering between them and this team that Jay and I love the most is the Packers. I feel like they took a step back because they lost Devin Funchess. We were already talking about the Packers not having a number two wide receiver, but then when they had Funchess, we were like, okay, they have an opportunity to build on something. Then now that you lose Funchess, who do you have to go to now? You have unproven rookies and third or fourth year guys that are just not perennial stars in this league.
So, Brandon, going on that point, you're a former Super Bowl winning running back with the Packers.
Yes.
So walk me through this. Aaron Jones rushed for over 1,000 yards, 16
Yes.
touchdowns, 49 receptions, 3 touchdown catches. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
Packers draft a running back, A.J. Dillon from Boston College. Aaron
Mm-hmm.
Jones is 25 years old. He's playing for a big-time contract. How does the coaching staff sell this to Aaron Jones, who is a borderline Pro Bowl player over the next couple of years, saying, hey, we're going to lighten the load for you? How do you sell that to a 25-year-old who's trying to sign big money?
Well, that's what I was kind of thinking in the end of my statement. But to begin it, Aaron Jones had to take full advantage of the opportunities that were presented to him, knowing that he will have a number two nipping at his heels. With the help of that coaching staff for the number two guy and Dylan, they're helping him take over that spot. You got to understand this: when this contract talks and you have a second round draft pick, your back is already against the wall, given the fact that you really tell me a running back that's really not a Pro Bowl, Super Bowl champion winner caliber running back. It's just going to be hard for him to get those type of numbers that he wants as a running back.
But Brandon, you're saying
in a contract.
You're saying he should use this as motivation, like I need to work harder, I need to improve more.
Yes. I think it's going to be
challenge my guy in who I think they're going to use.
But that's the thing; it's going to be hard for him to build on what he did last year.
Did we freeze up there?
It's going to be hard for him to build on what he did last year, given the fact that this guy scored 33 touchdowns and they have a number two running back that's big, and also the type of offense that LaFleur wants to run.
Okay, we're back. Sorry, we had a little internet problem. I think we lost Jay, but we'll get him back on. So just finish your point right there. You're basically saying that don't take this as a knock. Don't take this as this guy's coming in to take my job. Take this as a personal challenge to what I'm about.
Yes, he has to, because Aaron Jones did a great job. He led the league in touchdowns. So you're going to give that type of running back, that type of guy, an opportunity to seal that position. But understand this: with the type of offense that LaFleur wants to run, he wants a big back in there. And Aaron Jones is not a big back. So Aaron Jones has to be spectacular. He has to top what he did last year, and that will be tough.
Yeah, listen, I'm of the belief that Jay, are you there? If you are, just give us a.
I'm here.
You're there. Okay, so we can't see your picture, but that's fine. We'll work through it. Jay, Brandon mentioned Devin Funchess will not play this season in Green Bay. He's decided to opt out because of concerns of COVID-19. Devontae Adams had 83 receptions in 12 games. Their next wide receiver on the depth chart with the most catches as a wide receiver was Allen Lazard, 35 catches. What are the Packers doing for their number two wide receiver, Jay?
Well, that's kind of funny because I see Aaron Jones as last year's number two wide receiver. 49 receptions, 474 yards, 3 touchdowns, 72.1% of total targets caught. And I think he was underused in big games and big moments where they could have utilized him and Jamal Williams in the backfield, motioned him out. And then that, Monte, is where Brennan and I disagree, okay? Because it makes sense you draft.
You guys
A.J.
disagree
Dillon.
a lot, don't you?
Yes, we do when it comes to the Packers and what they want to do, because I think I fundamentally understand what the vision is. Whether they're able to execute that or not, I don't know. But as the A.J. Dillon is there to take the pressure and free up Jones to be more of an early Tyreek Hill type of player in Kansas City before he established himself more as a perennial outside receiver where he can line up and do some catches, do some jet sweeps, run, and make you be a versatile weapon on offense that can be used. And yes, Devin Funchess hurts, but you got Reggie Bagleton there, who, let's be real, I don't care what league it's in. If you catch 102 balls, you got good hands. All right. Like that.
But you're back with the same team you had last year, Jay.
Not really. There's an improvement in the run game because AJ Dillon and the wide receiver crew, it's got to get better just from being there, being familiar with the offense, having another year with Aaron Rodgers. They're either going to approve or they're not. It's kind of a sink or swim, but it is what it is, and I don't think it's as bad. You just got to win games, and they didn't win pretty last year, and they won 13 games. So is it that big of a deal?
Go ahead, yes. Brandon. You want a rebuttal?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, Jay and Monte. It is a big deal, just for the simple fact you proved another point, Jay. You said the improvement at the running back position by adding Dillon. So what do you do in those type of situations where the season is long and it's cold outside? What do? You have to run the ball. And who's going to be able to run that ball and pound it on defenses and move the power and move the sticks? Dillon. What does that do? That takes the ball out of Jones's hands, and that limited his carries, which limited contract negotiations.
Well, okay, let me jump in here for a second, Brandon, because this was my next question. The NFL is a copycat league. We saw success with the Titans running the ball. They basically took the ball out of Ryan Tannehill's hands and they gave it to their running back, Derrick Henry. The Baltimore Ravens had success putting 3 running backs. We haven't seen that since the wishbone in college in the backfield. The 49ers went to the Super Bowl. Many people don't know this. They were number 1 in the NFL in rushing the ball at 52% of the time. Is Matt LaFleur telling us and telling Aaron Rodgers, arguably the best quarterback in the NFL, the best quarterback in the history of the NFL, who isn't named Tom Brady, is Matt LaFleur going to come in and take the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands?
Great question, Monte. Wrong Aaron. Great question. Wrong Aaron. Absolutely not. He would not take the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. He's going to have to take the ball out of Aaron Jones' hands late in the season and put it in A.J. Dillon's hands. When you really look at it and you go back to those teams that you said, 49% with the 49ers and the Ravens, what did they do late in the season to help them, and even the Titans, to help them get to where they were late in the season? They had to run the football.
Yeah, and it's amazing, Brandon.
Had a hard time running the football late in games. That's why they had to dump it here, throw it here, and then sneak Jones up the middle. So right now, you don't have to do that anymore late in the season.
Ooh, and that's where we disagree again, though.
Okay, Jay, I'm going to let you rebuttal here, but here's what I'm going to say. The NFL is considered a vertical passing league. That's why Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is going to be the best player on the field 99% of the time. But what does Patrick Mahomes do? They throw the ball 40, 50 times. What did Tom Brady do when he didn't have a running game? I was talking to Rico, who's going to be a guest on this show at the top of the hour, and I said against the Baltimore Ravens a few years ago in the AFC Championship game, Tom Brady and the New England Patriots didn't call a running play. They put the ball in the best player's hands, Tom Brady. How are you not putting the ball in Aaron Rodgers' hands in the fourth quarter? Jay, you go first, and then Brandon, I see you're ready to go.
Well, first of all, this is about what Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst want as the identity of the team. It's not Aaron Rodgers anymore. And that's why they traded up and drafted a quarterback. And that's why Aaron Rodgers basically said the other day what he said on the Kyle Brandt podcast, that he understands what they're doing. He understands the business side of it. That's one part of it, okay? So the idea that Brandon keeps arguing is that they're not going to take the ball out of that Aaron's hands. I think if you look at the games and the issues they had on offense last year, were what? When the run was taken away or they went away from the run, they couldn't run play action to get the explosive plays of this offense and Matt LaFleur designed to be the downfield plays, and they were dependent on throwing the ball. It was sack city, and they lost, or those games came down to moments where other games where they ran the ball, it seemed where it was much easier for them to win, and the defense played better. So I think by design, by trial and error last year, the idea and the identity of this team is absolutely going to be that Aaron Rodgers throws the ball 5 to 10 less times a game. But I think his efficiency, because who he is still, there is no decline, means that he could be on the very likely path to breaking Drew Brees' all-time single-season completion percentage.
Okay, Brandon, you're up. Rebuttal there, and then we'll get Jay to talk about this defense.
Hey, Monte, you made a good point about throwing it deep to win a Super Bowl. But it's not the fact of winning the Super Bowl. How do you get to a Super Bowl in the playoffs? You have to run the football. Yes, if you go back to 2010, you'll see exactly what you're saying. The Green Bay Packers had to run the football and throw the football to get to the Super Bowl. What did we do when we got to the Super Bowl? Bombs over Baghdad. So you make an excellent point about winning a Super Bowl. You have to throw the ball deep, but getting to the Super Bowl, you have to be able to be diverse. You have to be able to run. You have to be able to dump the ball. You have to be able to run screens, and that's what the Packers will be able to do this year with Dylan. And I'm not against Jones. What I'm saying, late in the season, going into the playoffs games, that's how the Titans were able to get to the AFC Championship.
Yeah,
because they pound the ball.
Right, and we see, it's amazing because, other than recently with 13-3, the Patriots against the Rams, you look what the Philadelphia Eagles did with a backup quarterback and Nick Foles. They put up 41 points against a great New England defense. You got to score points. At the end of the day, in the fourth quarter, you got to score points. There's going to be very few games, especially why do quarterbacks get paid the most amount of money? Patrick Mahomes just signed over $450 million. Derrick Henry, who you just mentioned, signed a $50 million contract. So Patrick Mahomes, according to the Chiefs, is more valuable, $400 million more than Derrick Henry. So yes, I agree you have to be able to run the ball, but at the end of the game, as a former coach who was pretty successful, you got to put the ball in your best player's hands. And Jay, you disagree with me. You think that Matt LaFleur is saying, and you're right by saying this, that Aaron Rodgers is no longer elite. I'm saying he's still an elite quarterback.
No, that's not what I'm saying, though, actually, Monty. What I'm saying is they're saying Rodgers is so elite and so efficient, but let's take the illness off of him. And if we can get to those 3rd down and 5 or less, Aaron Rodgers, that's why I'm saying I believe he can break the all-time complete. It's on those 3rd downs and shorts where they can – the whole offensive playbook, when you have Aaron Rodgers on 3rd and 5 or short, you can take deep shots. You can do whatever because he is unlimited still, because he still is elite. He's all-time great. He is not in the decline. But the idea is to take an aging quarterback, much like they did with Tom Brady in certain years, and just pound the rock and leave the get back to Rodgers being the surgeon, where you are so frustrated because when you go to stop the run, Rodgers kills you and gets the conversion. When you think you're going to stop Rodgers, he can check and get it to a running back, and you just keep going. And so that in these games, it becomes the old of what we expected, just not in the spread formation. It's going to look different, but yet I believe it can still be a look back to the past as far as the efficiency in which we came to love and know Aaron Rodgers and his legend.
Okay, I post this end of the day, Julio. We have a rule on this show. Anytime I say a boring cliche, a boring football cliche like the end of the day, or we drink. So cheers to everyone watching who's drinking right now because we said end of the day. Thank you, Julio, for pointing that out. And now, Jay, we're going to stay with you regarding Blake Martinez here. Blake Martinez had one. I know you were not a big fan of his, but he had 155 tackles. Who is going to replace him? He's now with the New York Giants. The Smith brothers, Zadarius and Preston, had 25 combined sacks. I think Darnell Savage is going to be an absolute star on the rise. How will this defense be different? Will they be better or will they be worse?
Well, that goes back to a conversation we had in episode 19, season 2 on our show with Shannon Sullivan.
Plug right there. Love the plug.
Yep, who's back this year for his 2nd season and really came on late. and to this day still recovered that fumble in the playoff game, folks. We know so, and he agrees, we agree, but he talks about it himself. The continuity that defense has, especially in the secondary, and all the different things they asked those secondary players to do last year, they are more confident in each other, their assignments, and what they're supposed to be doing. And amidst the pandemic, they all know each other. So there is some things that the Green Bay Packers are going to be looking at back in later in the season. We're going to look back and say, this is a lot like the 2011 with the strike, like their team was still continuity, mainly together coming off the Super Bowl where it didn't matter. Well, look at this team, offense and defense, not a lot of changes, right? And so the young players that maybe struggled last year, it was because they were doing things and put in situations where they weren't quite ready and they didn't quite understand. And we're learning on the fly. And Chandon talks to that, and they're all ready. They're amped up. They've studied all season. They understand what their coaches want and how, and they're supposed to execute. And I think the secondary is the key. Front seven is going to be okay. They're going to get pressure. The secondary has to get 20-plus interceptions this season. They just have to do it. They had 17 last year. If you get 20 or more, B-Jack talks about it, you're winning the Super Bowl with 20 or more INTs on the secondary. It's usually how it goes.
We're talking with Jay Andrews and Brandon Jackson from the Titletown Borough crew on the Full Monty Sports Show. Brandon, give us your prediction record-wise for every team in the NFC North. I've said this since the draft. I think every team tried to fill needs that the coaches want. No one talks about the Detroit Lions, but I think they improved. I think the Bears have a shot at being better. And this is not an attack on Packer fans, Packer Nation. I love the Packers, but the Packers won't go 13-3 this year. I think they go 11-5. How do you feel this division plays out? Give us each team and their record.
Okay, so for the Chicago Bears, it just all depends on what quarterback is starting. But with Mitch Trubisky in the backfield, they go 5-11.
Whoa, 5-11 for the Bears.
Yes. I will say this off the rip: the NFC North has a tough schedule this year, and all three teams, Chicago, Detroit, and Minnesota, adding on top of playing the Packers, just make their schedule tougher. So
I had Daniel Goodwin, who covers the Bears, on our show last week, and he said he did a tremendous job. But he said the Packers were going to go 8-8, and I had to respond with this. I was like, "Are you kidding? 8-8?" And listen, Brandon, no disrespect, but I think the Bears are going to surprise teams. I think they're going to be better than people think. That defense had an off year last year. They're going to be top 5. I didn't like what they did in the draft because I don't feel, other than Robinson, who I think had 97 catches, where's the number 2 option at tight end, wide receiver, and running back? Their running backs averaged 3.7 and 3.5 yards per carry last year, so they can't run the ball. So you're saying 5-11 for the Bears?
Yeah. Once again, it just all depends on who's at quarterback. And I don't see this team being the 2000 Baltimore Ravens that they
dominant
didn't have,
defense.
Right. They didn't have to have a quarterback to win games and win a Super Bowl. So I do not see it happening.
Okay, talk to Detroit and Minnesota.
Detroit, I see them going 4-12. And that's just solely dependent on if Matthew Stafford can come off that back injury. Right now, he's opted out because of COVID, so we'll see what happens with that. I have Minnesota going 8-8 once again because it's a hard schedule, and their defense is kind of young, but they have the possibility to go 9-7. Yeah.
Wow. I think the Vikings are going to battle the Packers. I think the Vikings will go 11.
Yeah.
I think Dalvin Cook is the most underappreciated running back in the NFL. No one outside of Minnesota pays attention to him. Are you a fan of his?
Yes, I am. But one of the main reasons I'm looking at it like this, and when I get to the Packers, I hope you understand it. But with the Packers, I got them going 12-4, or they're repeating at 13-3. Once again, the reason I have that at 12-4 is because there's no preseason games. So all these teams will come out rusty. And with the Packers having a young secondary, they're gonna be a little confused and discombobulated at the beginning of the season. And they will play that Minnesota team first, which that's becoming a good rival. And so it's gonna come down to whose defense can step up and learn the language and come together and play as a unit faster than the other one.
My friend Andrea is a diehard Packer fan. I mean, diehard Bears fan. She's going to get mad at me for saying Packer fan. She is so upset with you right now for picking the Bears. All right, Jay, you're up. Jay, what do you got?
All right, I'll start with the Bears. I got the Bears, I think, are an 8-8 team. I think there's going to be a lot of QB shuffling. I think Montgomery's going to end up having a better year. I think they finally used Cohen the way he should have. He just wasn't used last year. Talk about a weapon that just never got the touches he should have got. As a fantasy owner, highly disappointed, okay? And the defense, I think, although they're aging and have lost a young talent in Goldman, I still think they're good enough to not be at the bottom toilet of the league. You know, I mean, the Bears are always tough. So the Vikings and the Lions, I think the Lions are actually going to be up there in the 9-7, 10-6 range as long as Matthew Stafford can play and stay healthy. They're another team that has mainly veteran guys.
Jay, I have to interrupt you for a second. Did you say that the Lions will be 9-7?
Yeah, 9-7, 10-6, I believe, because of the
So you have them winning more games than Chicago?
Yes, I do. Because I just think that they have enough weapons on the offensive side if Matthew Stafford is there. And defensively, they've got enough, and their guys are veteran. Even though they lost Slay, I think their front seven can do enough. They'll scheme enough.
If anything, if Nick Foles is at the helm, they go 8-8.
Okay. Well, it's still that doesn't.
Brandon is fired up right now with your prediction right there, Jay. I mean, what's going on?
Like,
All right, Jay,
I've never seen Detroit win more games than Chicago, like in my whole entire life.
Did we lost Jay? But so all right.
Yeah, because that tomfoolery, he got kicked off the show.
I think he was the weakest link right there. We both wanted him off the show. Jay, hopefully he'll come back. We got about a minute left. Brandon, talk about what you guys are doing at Town Brawl. Here's Jay. Let's get you back up. Let's get you back up here, Jay.
All right, I'm back up.
Thank God I get to see his face in person.
Listen, Brandon's killing you with these predictions, but you haven't said about the Green Bay Packers. So talk about that. What they're doing.
Well, I'm Packers to me. 11-5 is kind of like laughable to me. They're 12-4 at worst, 13-3, 14-2. The rest of the teams that everybody says is going to be so hard. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, and all these guys that they had. That's a lot of different moving parts, and like it's an aging quarterback in a new system, and Bruce Arians is not Bill Belichick. I wish everybody stop acting like he's the second coming of Bill Belichick. He's moved around for a lot of teams for a lot of reasons and still doesn't have any rings. Okay, so
Jay, did you go? I started the show. I went bike riding today, and along the beach in Florida. Here's a picture, and
awesome. I heard what you said.
Right. I mean, the marijuana smoke came off the beach. I thought I was going to be chowing down donuts like Homer Simpson during this segment. But did you ride with me? Because you just said the Packers are going to win 14 games?
I think they can. I think it's very feasible. Mike McCarthy has a lot on offense, but then it's young talent coming in, and there's no defense. What does that recognize? 2011, and what happens? You don't have enough defense even when you score 42 points, right? And so and then and everybody else, the Vikings and all these other teams, they went and did what? They drafted wide receivers and other skill positions that take time to transition high and are depending on them and not veterans, and a lot of moving pieces on key parts of their defense that or offense that take time to develop, and they don't have that this year. And so I'm going to go with teams that have more veteran presence, that haven't had a lot of moving parts in the offseason, to even though if you feel like they're not there, they have, in my opinion, the edge this season because there's less to learn. There's less. Any team that has a veteran team like the Packers.
But you was just talking about how Tom Brady doesn't
on a new team.
But you just talked about they have veterans. They have Gronk, they have Tom, they have McCoy.
Gronk is 20 pounds lighter, was just doing a bunch of CBD oil before he unretired, and who knows if
that's okay. That's gonna make him high and faster.
Guys, Love having you on the show. Jay, Brandon, talk a little bit about how we could support you. I tell this to every guest. I'm getting like 4 to 6 million hits on my Twitter page per month. So promote your show. We love this back and forth. You guys disagree on almost everything, and it makes for great radio. It makes for great podcasts. And I love having you on the show. How can we follow and support you? Brandon, you go first.
Well, you can follow me on Twitter at Brandon at BJack32, and then
Brandon, I
I'm
am
on.
following you, and I hope you follow me back,
I did,
young
I
man.
did,
Okay,
I
thank you.
did,
Thank you.
I did. It's tough out here in this world. Sometimes I don't see it, but I did see it, and I followed you back. And then you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram at Brandon Jackson 29.
All right, Brandon, I'm going to leave you with this before we get to Jay because I think you and I have the same philosophy, and I know how much this means to you. The reason most people fail instead of succeed is they trade what they want most for what they want at the moment. Thanks so much. Love your background, too.
Thank
Class
you.
act.
And once again, that's that microwave versus that conventional oven faith.
That's a good point right there. Don't take the easy way out. All right, Jay, how do we follow you? How do we support your program?
All right. So on Twitter, you can hit me up at UPJ33. On Instagram, it's JAndrews_033. And then the show is at Title Town Brawl. You can find that on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook by searching it. And also hit up the Brawl Network. The website's thebrawlnetwork.com. You go there, sign up for free. It's awesome. There's all kinds of stuff. And I'm just going to leave you with this, guys. People are addicted to fantasy and stats and analytics these days, but I'm addicted to execution and basic levels of winning. All right, that's period. And when it comes to the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, and the reason why I feel the way they are, and a lot of that is because at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be pretty for them to win games. They just got to execute at the fundamentals and the basics, just like they did going 13-3 last year. Hit us up on there and hit us up on Wednesdays, 5 Central, 6 p.m. Eastern, live on the Spreaker app for us on Titletown Brawl, myself and Brandon. Thanks, guys.
Jay, people loved having you on the back and forth, and the fans love you because you just said at the end of the day, and that means everyone gets to have a free drink. So thank you so much, Jay. Love having you on. See you down the road.
Thanks, Monte. You guys have a great day. Go Pack, go.
Okay, when we come back, we're going to have the other George Lopez. I'm going to stop calling him the other George Lopez. I'm just going to call him George Lopez. You're listening to the full Monte Sports Show. We work hard on Sunday, so you don't have to. George, thanks so much for joining the full Monte Sports Show. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing good, Monte. How you doing? I love that segment, man, with Brandon and Jay. They were bringing it today.
Those guys are amazing. They disagree on everything, so it makes for great radio podcasts. Love their passion. We're going to get to your passion and your anger in a minute because I think this segment, you're going to have two emotions, rage and anger. So that is tremendous. That is tremendous. But I'm going to put something here and, again, explain to our fans who may not know how important this clip is for you right here.
Game 5, 88 World Series. That's all I got to say. Game 5, 88 World Series.
Joe, people talk about dominating pitchers. They'll say Roger Clemens at the tail end with the Yankees. They'll say Kurt Schilling for the Boston Red Sox with the bloody sock. But talk to people how great Oral Hershiser was in 1988 when they beat the Mets and then they went on to sweep the Oakland A's. Greatest pitching performance ever, right, George? Am I overstating it?
Hershiser had one of the best seasons that I've ever seen. 23-8, 59 consecutive scoreless innings to the end of the regular season. And he was just dominant in the postseason. Even though he only had one win against the Mets, he wasn't giving up squat. They just weren't scoring runs. I mean, he comes in, he pitches, throws 100 pitches in game 4, over 100 pitches, and Lasorda brings him back in the 9th inning of game 5, that extra inning game, or game 4, to win that game. He has pitching in relief because he was out of relief pitchers because Jay Howell was suspended for the pine tar incident. I mean, the guy was just lights out the entire season. I mean, he earned the nickname Bulldog that year.
No, it was the most dominating pitching performance I ever saw in postseason. 1988. I was a young kid, but it was amazing. So, George, I posted this for you and to try to describe you. Let's get right to it. First, we are at 15 players and a few coaches testing positive for COVID-19 from the Miami Marlins. No other team is even near that. I know they just canceled the St. Louis Milwaukee Brewers game. Is it time? Listen, Michael Jordan is the worst owner in the history of the NBA. What
Agreed.
he has done and he gets a pass because he's Jordan. How are we not giving Derek Jeter massive criticism on a large scale for, first of all, not having control of the team? They went out in Atlanta. They partied. They all have COVID. Not all of them, but 15. He traded Giancarlo Stanton, who's now with the Yankees. He traded Christian Yelich, who's with the Milwaukee now, a perennial MVP candidate, and Marcelo Zuna, who's now with the Atlanta Braves, hitting home runs against my Mets. Is this a dereliction of duty for Derek Jeter? How is he getting a pass? Is it because he's good looking?
He's the same thing as Michael Jordan. That's why he's getting a pass. He had a tremendous career on the field for the Yankees, so he pretty much gets a pass right now. And he's proof that just because you're good on the field doesn't mean you're going to be good behind a desk. As you mentioned, Jordan sucks as an owner. Phil Jackson, one of the greatest coaches in the NBA, you, as a Knicks fan, you saw what he tried to do building a team. He sucked at it. And he brought 5 titles to the Lakers. You know how much I love Phil Jackson. He sucked trying to build a team. Derek Jeter sucks behind a desk as an owner of a baseball team. What you could do on the field does not necessarily guarantee it's going to translate to ownership, and we're seeing that. And
all right, George. So I said you were going to be fired up. Joe Kelly got suspended for 8 games for throwing. There it is, free Joe Kelly. Here's a picture of him literally mocking the Houston Astros. Now, for those of you who don't know, there are certain people who don't follow sports the way we do. The Houston Astros, when they won their title, they cheated. We don't know if they had an electrical pulse where they were being zapped once if it was a fastball, 2 for a curve, 3 for a changeup, but they were stealing the pitching signs the entire postseason. They stole a championship from the rest of Major League Baseball. So Joe Kelly, the first time he plays Houston Astros, he throws at the batters because, let's face it, they got a slap on the wrist. They did not get penalized at all. No player was suspended. I know that you're upset with the commissioner. Talk about the 8-game suspension. Hold that sign up one more time for people to see. I love that. I love
free Joe Kelly. Well, from now on, anytime anyone talks about the Astros winning the World Championship, they better use quotation, winning, because they did not win squat. And I've told people, give them some credit. They won Game 7 at Dodger Stadium, so there was no banging of the trash can. So the Dodgers lost that game. But I look at Game 4 in Houston. Kershaw dominated them in Game 1. Game 4 in Houston, he threw 51 sliders, curveballs, breaking balls off speed, not one swing and miss. They knew what was coming. So they stole it. And what pisses me off about the suspension is, one, he didn't hit anybody. How can you prove intent? When he was pitching against Correa, all those pitches were breaking balls. If you're going to hit someone, you're not throwing a breaking ball at him. You're Joe Kelly. You're going to throw a 98-mile-per-hour fastball and pluck him in the ribs. So you can't prove intent. And Chris Young and Commissioner Manfred give him an 8-game suspension, which is equivalent to 22 games.
That's the big thing, George.
That's what pisses me off. I remember a Padre game with Zach Greinke pitching for the Dodgers. They charged the mound. Greinke gets his collarbone broken. That guy I think he got 8 or 10 games for breaking a pitcher's shoulder, charging the mound. Joe Kelly didn't hit anyone, which I kind of wish to God he did. I really wanted it. Pluck him in the ribs. Not in the head. I don't agree with going for the head. Hit him in the ribs. Hit him in the ass.
George, you bring up a great point because they suspended him 8 games in a 60-game season. He's getting 22-game suspension for not hitting a batter.
Exactly. You cannot prove that it was intent. He was wild. Even the breaking balls were balls. He wasn't throwing them for strikes, so he was wild that day.
Well, he does have some control issues, correct?
He does. And the pitch to Bregman that went behind his head, personally, I think he tried to send a message, and I was hoping he wasn't trying to hit him in the head, because that I don't agree with. because you at 100 miles per hour you can kill someone. I don't agree with that. Hit him in the ribs, hit him in the ass, something like that. But I'm glad he did it because, as you said, not one player who cheated, they didn't even get a slap on the wrist. They got immunity.
Yeah, no.
You know,
Listen, one of the
can you
problems.
imagine? Yeah,
One
can
of
you
the
imagine if
problems
Don
were.
Drysdale playing right now?
What's that?
Could you imagine if Don Drysdale was on the Dodgers? You
Well,
know,
here's the thing, Joe. One of the problems we're having as a nation right now, you're seeing the guy in the White House, his cronies are above the law, right? So what happened to Houston? They cheated, and no player who cheated got anything. They didn't get games taken away. Forget about fines. I don't want to hear about fines because billionaires, millionaires don't care about fines. So what Kelly did, and what more pitchers are going to do is they took matters into their own hands because the Houston Astros, and my dad loved that team. I loved that team when they won. We watched them. I actually got my dad a Houston Astros hat after they won for Father's Day. But now that we know they cheated so egregious, I can't see more pitchers doing this, right?
I expect it. I expect it all year, and they better keep their mouth shut because they know it's coming and they deserve it. Take it like a man. You want to steal a title? Take the punishment like a man.
Joe, George, someone said that you look like you're in your safe room in the background there. So, I mean, okay, let's move to this Dodger team, and we're going to get Rico on in a couple minutes. I want you to do a segment with Rico as well. This is the bet. I think the Mets have a good lineup. It's not even close. This is the scariest Dodger lineup I've ever seen. As someone on the outside looking in, the only problem I have is you're batting Mookie Betts first. I think he's got to be third. Am I wrong thinking that?
No, actually, I think Mookie Betts is good as a leadoff hitter. You know, with the depth.
So I'm 100% wrong.
I won't say you're 100% wrong. I
90%.
bat him third, but I like him as a leadoff. What I don't like is Max Muncy batting leadoff. He doesn't look comfortable in the leadoff spot. I would flip him. Mookie Betts batting leadoff, Muncy batting second. Because then you got.
Is this the most dangerous lineup you've ever seen, George, with the Dodgers?
It has the potential because right now Bellinger is not hitting. He couldn't hit his way out of a paper bag right now. He is completely lost at the plate. You can see he changed his stance, he changed his swing a little bit, and he's pressing, and he's trying to homer his way out of his problems. And you can't do that. I could see what he's doing. You know, it's easy to be an armchair coach, but he's trying too hard. He's flying open. He's not staying on the ball. And I'm glad they benched him yesterday. I think he needed a day off to regroup. And he's just got to trust his process. He's got to stay. He's not staying on the ball enough. He's got to grab the ball to more to left center.
Where is the weakness on this team? What are your biggest concerns if they stay healthy on how to attack the Dodgers? Because I think this team is probably the most complete team in baseball, followed by the New York Yankees.
My concerns, and yesterday they had a great game. I mean, 11 runs, 11 hits, 7 extra base hits. But before that, they are leaving a lot of runners on base. And that's a little bit of a concern, not hitting with runners in scoring position. And a huge concern I have right now is how much they're using the bullpen. I'm worried, even though it's a 60-game sprint, is Dave Roberts going to burn out that bullpen? That's what I'm concerned about. I know he's using pretty much an inning at a time, but he's got to get these starting pitchers stretched out. I'm glad Julio Urias went 6 innings yesterday. Ross Stripling's gone 6+ in his 2 starts. But everyone else, 4 innings, maybe 5, and then he's going bullpen, and that's a concern.
Are you wearing a Dodger shirt right now, by the way?
You know it. I fired up, man. Dodgers. It's Kershaw Day. Kershaw making his debut today.
All right, let's get to the Lakers. First, before we get to the Lakers, is it World Series or bust? I ask you this question every year, and the Dodgers have been so successful. What have they won? 7 straight NL West titles? Is that right?
Yeah, they're turning into this generation's Atlanta Braves.
Yes. Now, so if they don't win the World Series, is it a failure of a season?
Yes, 100% with it. I always look at only one team every year has a great year, and that's a team that lifts the trophies, except for the team that won in 2017, the Astros. But everyone else, if you lose the World Series, you had a good year. You didn't have a great year. So with this team, this depth, if they don't win it, I'm going to be extremely just pissed off, basically.
Listen,
Great statement.
I love the rage and anger you have, Joe. This is a brand new side to you.
Yeah,
I actually
I'm trying to calm down what I want to say because I know my uncles are
don't
watching.
curse, but
No,
you
no,
can be
I
fired up
know
as
my uncles are
possible.
watching. Like, I'm not going to say what I really want to say out of respect and out of respect for your show. I mean, I saw
Thank
the
you.
video of the kid drinking last week, so I know it's not a family show, but I still want to keep it. Keep it. I don't
Listen,
want the FCC coming at me.
you just use the quotes thing, and I did that last week. I did the quotes. So I'm going to tell all the fans listening, when you see the quotes, have a shot, have a drink, do what you got to
I have
do.
my Kettle One in a bottle just for my shot.
That's not Kettle One. All right. So George, before we bring Rico on, and you're going to interact with Rico, which should be very very funny. I want to talk about the NBA. Give us your thoughts of the first few games. Now, look, the NBA is doing it right.
Yes,
Now,
they are.
I love the virtual reality, the fans that are there, not there, but they're watching via webcam. I love how it looks on TV. It is a great product with technology. Talk about what you like about what you've seen during the first few games. And like I said, I love the virtual fans. The NBA is the best organization, along with the NHL, on how they've handled this pandemic.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. And honestly, I didn't even notice the virtual fans in the stands. When I first saw them, the first scrimmage game, it reminded me of NBA Summer League, and it was a little sloppy. And I was like, well, they're getting their feet wet. And I saw the Clipper game when the Lakers beat the junior varsity team. I do like.
Say that again for all the Clipper fans listening right now.
Yeah,
What do you call the LA Clippers?
the LA junior varsity.
No, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's actually been very exciting. The way they're doing it, the NBA did a tremendous job. The way they're doing it should be the blueprint for other teams. I even think the NFL should go into a bubble. I think that would be tremendous. The NHL, NBA.
I agree with that.
They're doing it in a bubble. I think they should.
Okay, so real quick before we get Rico and you on, I think Dion Waiters can be a poor man's version of Lou Williams minus going to the strip club. I think Dion Waiters can average 13 to 15 points off the bench. But here's my problem, George, and I am freaking out about this as someone who wants the Lakers to win. Anthony Davis against the Clippers in 4 games has 10 total points in the fourth quarter. Anthony Davis has disappeared against the Clippers during crunch time, and I'm freaking out about it.
No, don't freak out. I was more upset yesterday. 35 minutes, he went 2 of 7. 7 shots in 35 minutes against Toronto. He was just not engaged from the tip-off. And that was a little, not concerning, just a little disappointing. The Lakers are going to be fine come playoff time. They're getting everything, trying to get their chemistry back. They're going to be fine after this little 8-game sprint to get to the playoffs. The Clippers, they took New Orleans to the woodshed yesterday. They sent a message to the NBA, hey, this is who we are. But with the Clippers, you shut down either Paul George or Kawhi Leonard, they're done.
Well, it's
Both
funny
because
I thought I made a great point about Dion Waiters, and a good friend Raphael says you don't know Dion Waiters very well. Listen, Dion Waiters could go to a YMCA when he's 40 and drop 30 points. He could score 10 points in the. I mean, am I wrong about Dion Waiters? Like he says right here in this tweet, then you don't know Dion Waiters very well. Am I wrong?
No, I think Waiters is gonna, not having Beasley there is gonna hurt. But, I think Waiters is going to help out. Waiters and J.R. Smith are going to be a combination of Michael Beasley.
Yeah, just whoever has the hot hand, you play.
Yeah, but, yesterday, like I said, Anthony Davis went 2 of 7. Danny Green went scoreless.
Lowry was the best player on the field. Lowry was the best player on the court yesterday. Andrea tweeted, absolutely.
But, they had him contained most of the game, and he lit it up in the fourth quarter.
He lit it up.
They played a tremendous game. And I know we've talked, about who we see going on in the NBA. No one's really talking about Toronto, the defending NBA champs. They did not.
Our good friend Greg Rector, who's on the show all the time at Greg Cowboys, he has been telling me he told me 2 years ago that they were going to win the championship. He was right. He told me this year they're going to get back to the NBA Finals. Listen, the Clippers were on fire yesterday.
They were on fire, but let's also look at who did they play. No disrespect to the Pelicans. Well, disrespect to the Pelicans. Pelicans just weren't that good. And the
Listen,
Clippers,
their
they
coaching
were hitting
staff
the
is
shots
a
that they
joke.
had to hit.
He's the worst coach in the bubble. I don't know how, because Alvin Gentry has been an assistant. He is
Mm,
terrible. He's a
well,
terrible coach.
I'm going to disagree with you, and this is only because it's a personal hatred. The idiot that's trying to coach the Rockets, I think he's the worst coach,
Okay.
and I refuse to say his name.
All right, Joe, we're going to take a break. Then we're going to bring Rico on. Please stay on with us.
You
You're
got it.
listening to the full Monte Sports Show. We work hard on Sundays, so you don't have to. Guys, please follow Nuts and Bolts Sports on YouTube so you can see all their wonderful shows. Rico, thanks so much for joining the full Monty Show. What, is that Marilyn Monroe? in the
Marilyn
background?
Monroe?
Yeah, of course. I figure if we're going to be looking at backgrounds, I might as well change it up and make it part of the game.
That is
That's
tremendous.
actually little story about this. That's her first time ever on set, and she was an extra. Now, if you see an extra like that, that's why you make her a movie star.
I don't know, Rico. I would have gone with a Raquel Welch poster from Shawshank Redemption. I would have gone with that one.
That's a good one too. That's a
That
very
is a
good one.
Or like
Okay.
back in the day, the girl on the Ferrari or the Lamborghini, on the red Lamborghini.
So Rico, let me change the background for you, just so because you're going to be attacked right here. So let's get some calming.
Before
motion.
George, hold on. Before George attacks me, in that first game, the Lakers and the Clippers, that last shot with LeBron James was probably the biggest cheap game-winning shot I've ever seen, ever. When he took that shot and then went up and knocked three players out of the way, hit him from behind, and then slammed the ball to win the game.
That was what Coach Vogel designed when he had the timeout. That was a play that was called.
What do you mean the play call? Missed a shot and then pushed three players out of the way and slammed the ball?
Exactly. It's LeBron. He can get away with anything.
Hey, my buddy, my buddy said the other day, no great player gets by without a few good becomes great without a few good referees.
Exactly.
Rico, we talked about this on the phone yesterday. Look what Julio just read that out loud, Rico. Can you see that?
We owe you on Rico said something and said about someone kind of
Rico, I said this about Rico yesterday. I was on the phone.
use over under just to let people know.
And okay, the over under. Well, first let me just say what I said to you on the phone. I said Rico's like a wild animal. Like, you got to let him out once in a while, but 90% of the time you got to keep him in the cage, and that's what I try to do. As Pam just put right here, Rico is officially my favorite person.
Wait a minute, Rico.
Now Pam is my officially favorite person.
I got a question for you, Rico. Now I'm thinking about the Shawshank. Everyone wants you to blink if you're being held prisoner. Are you digging a hole behind that poster, behind that picture of Marilyn Monroe? Are you trying to tunnel your way out?
Well, Rico's a married man, so he might
Do we
be.
have to start calling you Andy Dufresne?
There is a hole. My wife and 2-year-old kid have got me hostage. Help.
Actually, you know what's funny? My friend Andrea said that Rico should be called. It's not Rico to show me the money. It's Rico slow down because he's about to say something inappropriate every couple of minutes.
It's coming.
All right, Rico, let's get right to this. George and I called you out last week. Okay. Now, look, I say this all the time. I don't care if people are right on my show. Okay. I want them to bring the passion and be educated and inform our audience. My mom told me the other day that she's learning so much about sports. So, Stephen A. Smith, the #1 basketball analyst for ESPN, was 0-6 picking NBA Finals. So I don't care if you're right in predictions. I just want you to be entertaining and make my audience more informed than when they started the show. But Rico, everyone, I've gotten over 100 tweets and emails about you. Even George, who's relatively calm, says 35 touchdown passes for Big Ben is insane. You took the over last week.
I took the over, but that's why I preemptively jumped in against George with the Lakers because I knew this was coming. So when I said 35, it's a loaded gun for me. Whenever you say Pittsburgh, if you would have said 40 touchdowns, I would have been like, yes. but the over-under is 27. And my friend Levi, who called me right after the show and is like, in literally exact words, "Are you crazy?" And I was like, "Why?"
Yeah,
Okay, George. Listen. This is a good comment right here, George. Look at that. Come on, George. Come on, George. You're the one who looks like in prison now. Is this your safe room, George? That's what we want to know.
I can't comment. People might know the code.
So George, okay, I'm gonna have you guys. We're gonna make a bet here. With you guys. A $25 gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings. I think the Rams have a better record than Pittsburgh this year. Are you taking that bet with Rico, George?
No, Rico, just send it to me now.
Just send it to you now. Hold on.
When you said 35 TDs, and I mentioned this to Monte, we don't know how Big Ben's elbow is going to respond this year. That's the question. Is he, is that elbow going to be healthy enough? Is he going to have the zip on his passes that he normally has? And as you mentioned, is he done with his porn addiction? Because that can mess up his arm even more.
Or George, I know this for a fact. The porn addiction can strengthen your arm. The porn addiction can strengthen your arm. My forearms are pretty impressive.
Yeah, but
I don't wear short sleeve shirts because I don't want to show the guns. But my forearms are pretty impressive.
Yeah, but he can have deformed hand trying to throw that football now.
Okay, so George, how many wins do the Steelers have this year?
I think the Steelers, if Big Ben is healthy, I think their defense is going to be better than a lot of people are really saying. I know, Rico, you follow them a lot, so you know a lot more about it. But I think they should go 10-6.
Okay, so Rico, what do you think the Rams go this year?
I'm really excited, to tell you the truth, to see the Rams this year, because you know what, everybody's writing them off, and I think that's exactly what McVay wants, and I think he's a great coach. And I would have probably said 10-6 too, but since I want Pittsburgh to be better than the Rams, I'm going to say 9-7. But
so we have a bet between you two guys.
What's that?
We have a personal bet between you two guys.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
So George, you think the Rams are going to have a better record than the Steelers?
Yeah, I see the Rams. If the Rams stay healthy, and that's going to be the key, healthy, and for every team, the rookies aren't going to have preseason games, so that's going to hurt a lot of the rookies. But if they stay healthy and their offensive line does what I expect them to do, and they figure out the linebacker situation, they'll go 11-5.
All right, guys. So we have the bet. George, how can we follow you on social media? The people are going crazy, George. They want you to bring this passion every week. They love the fired up, the so-called evil George. They love it. I love it too. How can we follow you on social media?
Follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @theotherglopez. And just when you do it, do the hashtag.
I love that.
Hashtag Rico Kelly.
Rico, he's bringing signs. What are you bringing to the show?
He brought Marilyn
Monroe.
You know what?
He got me on that one. He brought Marilyn Monroe.
That is correct.
I got to say, George, you said so many good one-liners when you're on your rant. Hit his way out of a bag. I was literally like crying. I was like, that's the best. I haven't heard that in like years.
All right, George, thanks so much. Love having you on. Okay, Rico, let's get right to it. So the Steelers gave up a number 1 pick. You like my Steelers background for you, for Minkah Fitzpatrick. Is he worth a number 1 pick? Where do you rank him amongst safeties? Now, just for comparison, he had 5 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, 57 tackles. Jamal Adams, in comparison, 75 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. You gave up a number 1 pick for Minkah Fitzpatrick, the safety for the Steelers. That's a lot to give up.
Well, a lot to give up compared to the Jamal Adams trade. It's nothing. I look at that trade as when Facebook bought Instagram for $1 billion. At the time, everybody went nuts. $1 billion. Cut to, here we are a few years later, and Instagram's worth $30 billion. Pittsburgh gave up a first-round draft pick who ended up becoming Austin Jackson. That's right. So he ended up. So we don't know who that is. They pretty much gave up the 18th pick. Now the Seahawks gave up 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick for the next 2 years. So think of the money that they gave up. I mean, it makes the Jamal Adams trade makes Pittsburgh look even better in my eyes.
So they didn't give up too much for Minkah Fitzpatrick.
No, they did it. Would you say
Minkah Fitzpatrick is a top 5 safety?
Yes, without a doubt. I think he proved himself last year. And in his sophomore year in football, which was last year, he was so good. Miami was willing to put him everywhere, where even Minka Fitzpatrick's mother came out and said, he doesn't play linebacker. I don't know why Miami's putting him there. They're setting him up to fail. And then Pittsburgh put him in his wheelhouse, a safety, and he did what Pittsburgh gave him up to. And I look at it like this. When you're giving up a first-round draft pick for a guy like him, or if you just, let's say, for like even Stephon Diggs, you're getting a proven entity. There's a lot of guys who come out of the draft in the first round who don't pan out. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think trading a first-round pick, honestly, for a proven entity is kind of going to be the new thing. I think it was a great pick by Pittsburgh. I think Seattle made a terrible trade because they have a 1-year rental with Jamel Adams at the end of this year.
He's gonna sign with them. He already said he wants to end his career there. They gave up a lot for him, but look, Pete Carroll's only going to be there for 3 years, so he doesn't care about draft picks. But more importantly, Rico, I have 3. See the homework I do to please. See the stuff I do to please you. I have 3 Pittsburgh Steeler backgrounds. One right there, and then this one. I mean, tell me I'm not trying to make this as comfortable for you as possible.
You do. I feel like I'm at home. And the funny thing is, technically, I am at home.
But you don't feel at home because your wife and your son run the household.
Yeah, oh, yeah, of course. Are you kidding me? I'm in my safe room.
I don't pay attention to lists, but during COVID-19, one of the things people said to me, they're like, are you going to stop writing? I'm like, no, I'm not going to stop writing. I'm like, I'm going to write even more. So I don't pay attention to lists, but I understand they're there for argument's sake. But when Pro Football Focus, when Bleacher Report comes out with lists and they have no basis of reality, okay, Carson Wentz was not ranked in the top 100 players in the NFL. Carson Wentz didn't make the list. Kyler Murray made the list. Josh Allen made the list. Kirk Cousins made the list. Are you kidding me about Carson Wentz not being there?
I feel like when I see this list, I feel like they say, like, they look at it, and then when they're done, they're like, oh, we forgot about that guy. Like there's certain players, like, how could he not be in the top 100? It's ridiculous that they did that. I think it was, and when I saw that and I saw the question, it actually made me laugh because I knew it broke your heart to see him not make that list. So it's that 100. I don't know who's, I really, it's like I wish I could interview those guys and say, okay, why him? Why him besides like Kyle Murray? Why? Sophomore year, how did he even make the list? Because he had a good 8 games, good 12 games. Like,
exactly.
He was on a losing team. Like, I think a quarterback, a lot hinges on, whether he's on a winning team or not. So I don't really pay. And actually, I don't mind it because it drops him lower because people just don't know on the fantasy draft board, and I could pick him up in the 7th or 8th round. So I kind of like it that he's not on that list.
So George Lopez taking a shot at you. I mean,
he's right. He's so right. I can't even argue.
He's literally left the show and taking a shot at you from conjugal vision. Okay, Rico. So 7 players now on the Patriots will be sitting out the season because of COVID-19 situation. Are the Patriots going to give up this season to pick up Trevor Lawrence, who is the best quarterback in the history of college football? Just if you just take how he's built, playing for Clemson right now, are the Patriots purposely going to lose games?
The thing with Trevor Lawrence and Bill Belichick is Trevor Lawrence has lost 1 football game in his whole career. He has no idea what it is to lose football games. Bill Belichick kind of, of course, he's had more than 1 loss in his career and a bunch of Super Bowl losses. But I don't see – Bill Belichick is the type of guy, if he did that, he's not doing it for Trevor Lawrence. He's doing it for the stock value that Trevor Lawrence brings, which I mean is that if he gets the first-round pick, he's going to trade him for 3 first rounds, 2 second rounds. He's going to sell. He's going to sell.
Look at my face right now. Wait a minute. You're saying that Bill Belichick is going to, if he has the first-round pick, he's going to trade and not draft Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, no. He's going to the reason I say that is when is Bill Belichick's offense, like I've brought it up before, been a purely quarterback offense. His offense was Tom Brady, short passes. What he does with a quarterback, he doesn't need that special of a guy.
I'm confused here. Are you saying that if the Patriots look, we know the bad teams, the Detroit Lions probably won't draft a quarterback because they're engaged in Matthew Stafford. We know my friend thinks the Giants are going to do very well, but let's say Arizona has a bad record. Let's say the Jets have a bad record. They're all sticking with their young quarterbacks. Are you saying that if the Patriots have a top 3 pick and Trevor Lawrence is on the board, you're saying Bill Belichick won't take him?
Again, I think that he'll take him and take the value he brings to a team.
So he's going to trade him.
Bill, yes, I think he would trade him because Bill Belichick is the type. I know that's what you're saying, but you know what? This is the NFL. There's very few guys who are that highly valued that have actually come in and done that job. And in our lifetime, we could say out of number 1 draft picks, what is there? Probably about 7, and that's including 2 brothers, the Manning brothers, that came off number 1 on the board, who actually won Super Bowls. And we're talking 3 Super Bowls between 40 years, 3 Super Bowls
Rico,
between 15.
Let me just say this. You and George Lopez never agree. So you're wrong here because you both agree that he's going to trade the pick. You guys never agree, ever. So right then and there, you should change your thought process right there.
Bill Belichick will never spend $20 million on a quarterback ever again in his career. He will never. You know what? If he does, by year 3, he's going to trade. He's going to sell him off.
I thought the 35 touchdowns for Big Ben was bad. You're getting killed right now. You're getting killed right now.
Again, you got to know Bill Belichick. I'm a Steeler fan. I've watched Bill Belichick beat us, cheat against us. I know the product that he is, and I knew him from when he was playing with Bill Parcells and the Giants. The type of guy he is, and again, his offense does not revolve around a gun like Trevor Lawrence. He does not. It's just
I couldn't disagree more. I couldn't disagree more. Okay, so money on the line, Rico. Who has more wins this season? C.J. Mosley just opted out. The Jets and Jamal Adams are gone. Who has more wins this year? The New York Giants or the New York Jets?
The only reason I would say the Jets is because they play teams like Miami twice. They play the Patriots, who are not looking like we're talking about them fighting for a number 1 draft pick. They play them twice. They play the Bills twice, which would be a good game. Even if they lose those 2 games twice, you're talking a potential easy 4 wins for the Jets. So I kind of like the Jets, and I think their over-under of wins has changed since the Patriots lost 4 starters, I believe it was, on their team that are not coming to play this year because of the pandemic.
Rico, gotta comment on your appearance here. What's with the hair? Is that a new hairstyle? Did you go to Supercuts?
Yeah, I actually brushed it a different way this morning because I was up late. The kid wasn't sleeping, so when I got up, the natural was a little stuck.
I like the little parted to the side. It's classy yet sensitive, all in one. Manly yet sensitive. Did you use Prel?
I'm a very sensitive person. I don't come off as a sensitive person, but you know what? That's the type of person I am. Oh, you know what? I got to say, I like the girl who drinks boxed wine. I was watching in the beginning of the
Laura.
show.
Yeah.
Laura.
But
if you're going to hang out with a girl, make sure she's a boxed wine type of girl.
Rico, has anyone, including your wife and your son, ever made this comment to you?
No. Matter of fact, my wife has made quite the opposite comment with the word hate in between the I and the M.
Has your family members ever said you're my favorite person?
No. Me and Pam are we're gonna be friends forever. Like I said, if you're a fan of mine, I will always be a fan of yours, equally, if not double back.
Wow. Okay, most touchdown passes this season, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson.
You know, that's a good one. I thought about that one for a while, and even though
meaning 5 minutes before the show, as you normally prepare for the show.
Yeah, to prepare for the show, I take notes too, buddy. I ain't like you. I ain't like you. I'm actually a lot like you. I think about it. I write it. I talk to Levi about it. This is just not. Giants hands down. Giants got a lot of tough games ahead of them. They play the Steelers.
Rico, my sister thinks that I pick on you all the time. Do I pick on you?
I don't know because I feel like it bounces off of me. Like I just like whenever you try, it's just like bing, and I don't even
So you don't
see
even
it.
pay attention to what I say. Okay, go back.
Kind of
Kyler
like
Murray.
40% of what you say.
So Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, who has more touchdown passes?
Well, the Ravens are claiming this one's for George, claiming that they're going to have that they're going to keep Lamar in the pocket and have him throw the ball more. But I'm not buying it. I think they're going to. Why would you change the whatchamacallit, the formula of a winning organization because you want to get your
because defenses are going to adjust, Rico. So that's why you change.
Yeah, but they knew about him
Rex
running.
Ryan never changed his philosophy. That's why he's not coaching anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like we didn't know what Lamar Jackson was doing by game 4 last year. People didn't figure it out all the way to the last game of the season where he got contained, but they were cocky. They were looking past them, the Texans, and that's why they lost that game. But I think that it's going to be Kyle Murray just purely because he's more of he's going to have no choice but to throw a lot of the times, and his defense is so bad that I really believe that he's going to be on the field and just trying to play catch up most of the game, to where Lamar Jackson will not be in those situations.
Okay, so you're saying Kyler Murray will have more touchdown passes?
Yes, that was that was the wrong answer.
Did you check with Levi before this?
Yes, actually, Levi said you might as well toss a coin. And of course, I checked with Levi. He's my better half.
And then you wonder why your wife says she hates you when you say statements like Levi is my better half. Please retract that statement. Can you retract that statement? So you're not retracting. You're not retracting that statement.
No, not at all. She agrees too. She's like, I wish I had the relationship you guys have. We call each other on the off season to check on if like how everything. Again, he's the type of guy that you can ask him about Jacksonville's Jaguars interior defensive line, and he will tell you. And now Jacksonville's got like the worst defense, and there's no reason, even if you live in Jacksonville, to read about them, but he does. And I appreciate passion, and he's got it.
Passion or obsessiveness. Okay, so Rico, give me a wide receiver, a running back, and a quarterback for all my fantasy football fans who are watching who are going to have a breakout season this year.
There's nobody I honestly think that's going to have a special breakout season, but if I was going to pick somebody—
my question is so irrelevant. That's what you're saying.
No, it's not that it's irrelevant.
You couldn't have told me this on Wednesday when I sent you these questions. That question is irrelevant. You waited till we were on the air to shoot me down.
Well, it's not irrelevant. It's just a question that's for the quarterback position. It's just a little different. I honestly think that if I'll take Daniel Jones if you're looking for somebody lower on the draft board and who's going to have, again, their defense is not great and they're going to be throwing the ball a lot and their offense will be on the field more than most. And he's got weapons.
But you think the Jets are going to be better, correct?
Yeah, I think the Jets will be better purely because their division is much weaker than the Giants division. Giants have Philadelphia Eagle with Carson Wentz, who is not on the top 100 list and who is your favorite.
Why do you say that? It's like a punch in my face every time you say that.
I know. But it is. That's what I was doing. I was taking a left jab because if I was talking about Marcus Mariota, it would be the right jab, and I'm not talking about him. But Washington has got potential. And then you got the Cowboys, who are the Cowboys, who, they got Ezekiel, who's already got antibodies. So,
Yeah. Rico texted me when Ezekiel Elliott got COVID-19. He's like, he just went up on my fantasy football draft board because he's got the antibodies. He won't get it twice. Rico has how my mom is all about giving and being affectionate and being nice. Rico is just the opposite. Whatever you can do for me, that is why I like you. Rico, 2 more things and we'll get to 2 more questions. Rico, where do you hide the rock hammer when you're not digging your escape tunnel? And then more importantly, Rico, where is your shank to defend yourself?
These are 2 questions that have the same hiding spot, but I can't. There's a family show. I can't tell you where those.
Wow. Okay, Rico, who wins Coach of the Year in the NFL and why?
Kyle Shanahan, because he.
Come on, Rico, that's an easy pick.
Yeah, well, what do you want me to do? You're asking me an easy question. Why wouldn't I pick him?
How about Buffalo? How about
Uh,
Miami?
those are long. You're picking long shots. I didn't know we were shooting for long shots. I thought we were going for easy answers here.
Okay,
That's
so you think Kyle Shanahan wins the Coach of the Year? So you're saying they're going to be 13-3, 12-4 in a very tough division.
Well, I think that I think he should have won it last year. The fact that he won last year, excuse me, that he won last year was a little shocking to me because he's always been a great coach and he's won it before. And I was just surprised because you know what? He came in with a good team. You know, his team was already playing well, short of San Francisco, who 2 years ago was so bad. They got the first. I mean, they won the first round draft pick. They had the worst record, the second worst record in the league 2 years ago. So how do you not pick him as he got robbed last year? Is my thing. So Kyle Shanahan got robbed.
You bring up a very fair point, and an even fairer point.
Fair.
Yes, it's a fair point. I think
it's a good point.
I think whoever wins the the AFC East with all the turmoil that's going on, I think they'll win the Coach of the Year. So I'm looking for Buffalo or Miami. But more importantly, the most important comment we got today is someone said, "When I look at Rico's hair, I am mesmerized."
From now on, my hair is going to go this way. It used to go this way, but I feel like naturally it's
Rico, gel, mousse, hairspray. What are you doing? People want to know.
Well, sleep. Wait, I'm looking at the camera. I'm ruining it. Oh,
all right, Rico. So, the last question I have for you, and then we'll get to Rico's rant. Michael Thomas set the record last year for most catches. Do you think that he will lead the league in receptions this year, or who would be your number one wide receiver? Because people ask me this. I have my fantasy draft in 3 weeks. Someone said to me, do you go to Rico for fantasy football information? I said, I do the opposite of him. I do the opposite of Rico. Do you think Michael Thomas should be the number one wide receiver off the board for the Saints?
Without a doubt. Not that
you don't think Emmanuel Sanders is gonna take away his catches?
I think not. If anything, he's going to help him get more. People don't realize that. Like now, it's one thing to double team. I mean, last year he was getting double teamed and he crushed it. This year he'll get double teamed and still crush it. It's not like all of a sudden Drew Brees is going to have this connection with Emmanuel Sanders, even though Drew Brees is that type of quarterback that
he spreads it around.
Out there, yeah, whoever you put out there, Michael Thomas is my potential first time I believe MVP shouldn't include quarterbacks. They should have their own thing because MVP is always a quarterback every year.
Yeah, I think they should have Offensive Player of the Year and then MVP.
Yeah, totally. Because I think Michael Thomas is the closest thing we'll see to a wide receiver MVP and probably our life. Well, I don't want to say our lifetime, but within the next 5 years, he is by far. He's a beast. He's a man amongst boys.
So you don't think DeAndre Hopkins will have more catches this year in Arizona?
No, I don't. The reason is just because Drew Brees has a connection with Michael Thomas. It's not just about the quarterback.
Okay, so if I'm betting money, Rico, you're saying Michael Thomas is going to lead the league in catches for a second straight year.
And yards. Don't forget yards. Catches and yards. Wow. He will lead the league. Again, I think he's a potential MVP this coming year. You'd go with DeAndre Hopkins. He hasn't caught a pass from Kyler Murray in his whole career. Why would you think that all of a sudden he's going to become this superstar magically becomes,
Well, listen, he's a talent, no doubt about it. But I before we get to your ramblings, I don't know what my sister's talking about here with you. I mean, come on, Diane. What is my sister doing here? Is she kidding me right there? Is she kidding me?
Her. Well, you make me look better, Monty. When I'm on screen with you, it's one of those things. It's like
no, you know what makes you look
something
better?
That's cute. Here's something that's beautiful.
You look so much. For some reason, your picture right now, it looks so attractive because Marilyn Monroe. People aren't looking at you; they're looking at Marilyn Monroe. So anytime someone's not looking at you, you become more attractive.
It's all about optics, Monty. It's all about. I think in my background, since the background now is part of a show, you got to change it up a little bit. But look, I do. I still put up the sign.
What I don't understand is why do you have two signs of the full Monty Sports Show? Why not just one?
because I haven't figured out how to make a bigger one yet, but I will sooner or later. And it's I don't have a printer that prints up big pieces of paper. What am I going to do? I mean, you know what? I'll figure it out. I got it.
Why do I get the impression that you've had this problem of not being able to make things bigger your whole life?
I think quite the opposite, but we'll leave it there.
You've struggled to make things bigger your whole life. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it at that.
I just want to say, you keep telling me what a family show this is, but you keep lobbing the ball. You keep lobbing the ball. You know, and then when it happens, I'm going to get a phone call later, and then I'm going to get yelled at by you. Then your mother's going to call me, and it's going to become a mess.
Rico, I think my mother would never call you. I don't even think my mom likes you. Now she's going to yell at me. She's like, "I love Rico. I love Rico."
No, I don't need to hear that from you. I already know because I love her. She's one of my first fans, so let's call it what it is.
I think her and Pam are probably your biggest fans. Here's a picture of my beautiful mom, Rico.
Stunning.
Unbelievable.
I wouldn't say woman's age, but
beautiful inside and out, correct?
Oh, 100%. I mean, short of you, she's made no mistakes in her life.
All right, Rico, we're going to end with that dig that you just gave me. Short of me, she's made no mistakes. And now here we go. This is Rico's Rambling. This is where Rico just gets to talk trash and say whatever he wants. I have no idea what he's going to say. So, Rico, there you go.
All right. So my rambling, and it's been what I've been obsessing about all week, is these players opting out, and it's about personal responsibility in the sense that you're opting out of playing football and you're opting out. And I understand if you have a sick child at home, but there's a lot of players who are just opting out because they don't want to. And you know what? You know who can't opt out? The girl who works at Trader Joe's who has a sick kid. You know who can't opt? You know, like there's things that you need to have a personal responsibility to each other, to the league, to your friends, to everybody there. You know what? Like wear a mask. How's that sound? You know, how about not? I had it in March. I had COVID-19 in March. I didn't know I had it. I had zero symptoms, no clue. Now, if I was walking around, because a lot of people are doing that, thinking, "Oh, I don't have it. I feel great." And you're spreading it, and that's what's happening is that Melissa, my fiance, she got sick. I mean, the whole month was down. Me, on the other hand, nothing. And, you know, it's like, and I still wore a mask. I didn't know I had it. And these guys who are opting out, they don't understand. They're entertainers. I live out in LA, in Hollywood, and you know what we say about the NFL? It's the greatest TV show in history. It's not. If you know what, you shut off that TV and play football, you know what your salaries are going to be? $50. Nobody's going to care. But it's because of us, and you're an essential product. And I know people are going to say he's crazy, but it's not. Like when I sit down to watch a movie, a TV show, or our show, I'm taking an escape from the world. Even if my life is great, it's nice to it's almost a form of meditation watching sports for somebody like me and most people. So when I start hearing people not care and start to think that they're actually not an entertainer and not part of us, you know. And again, to do that for the average NFL career is 3 years. So these guys to give up one of those 3 years and think that they're going to come back next year in their prime, and the teams and the NFL is not going to remember it. Like the one player, he's like, my daughter has a lung issue. I get it. But you have these other guys who are just like, I'm out. I don't want to play. You know, and like, guess what? The girl that's, again, at Trader Joe's who has a sick mom at home, she can't opt out because you know what? She's not going to get a $200,000 opt-out bonus, you know. And it's kind of one of those things that, like, we have to stick together. The bubble, you know why nobody's talking about the NHL? Because their bubble was phenomenal. Because each player has accountability for each other. I say it all the time. For one of the roughest sports, the NHL has got not only the most morals, like you pull any of that like immoral stuff in the NHL, they don't care if you're Wayne Gretzky. You're out. That's just the way they are. And I mean, they've been wearing masks since 1995. It's just part of their outfit, you know, part of their uniform. Anyway, I think that sports athletes, and a lot of them do know this, that they are an essential product to the American way of life, and that we've been depending on them for years. And a lot of these guys who are opting out for no apparent reason besides just to opt out because they have a chance to do nothing and make a few $100,000, if not $1 million, depending on their contract, is just it doesn't sit well with me. But
well,
again,
Rico, listen, Andrea, she says I work in education. She can't opt out, so she
exactly.
agrees with you. Right. But what I'm going to say, Rico, and I brought this up. Uh, wow, what a great take! Who would have thought that Rico would have a great take? That's like a backwards compliment. But Rico, one of the things that really I brought this up to a few people, and no one's really listening to me, is that the NFL should start
Shocking.
in late October. Or shocking that no one's listening to me. The NFL should start in late October. We are not ready. We are not ready as a country to open. We just saw schools in Indiana. They had their first day of classes on Thursday. Already like 5 kids who went to 7 different classes during the day have tested positive for COVID-19. The NFL is not ready for this. We're seeing the Major League Baseball. It's an absolute disaster. The bubble in the NBA, the bubble in the NHL is working. So why not just wait until we have more science until the end of October?
Well, my thing on that also is that, like, okay, it's a pro sport. We know the window is 14 days. If, let's say, the Kansas City Chiefs, there's a breakout, you know what? You shut them down. That week's game becomes a tie. You move them out of market
Or
team.
Rico, wait, how about this? How about you play 8 games per week? So a team has a bye every week after they play. They have 2 weeks to prepare for the next game. Do you like that or you don't like that?
No,
Say
I
go
think
14
that
games this year.
It's a good concept, that one, but I feel like that's a lot of work to put on the players, that you'll weaken their immune system probably more than it could potentially be. These guys are pro athletes. They wake up at 7, they don't go home till 9 o'clock. So this whole thing about this family life, like most NFL players and most pro athletes, that's why I give it to baseball players. Like, they're not home, they're not there. So to give up, like, I can go on about this. Or
No,
can go on.
I get everything you're saying. I get everything you're saying. But my thing is, it's been a disaster. This is not a political show, but it's been an absolute disaster. Every modern country in the world is showing the curve has flattened. Okay, but here in America, it's getting worse. So my thing with the NFL, and I said this on the very first show, the Full Monty Sports Show. Again, we're talking with Rico Graziano here. My first show, I said, watch what sports do. If the NBA in a bubble can do this, we all can't be in a bubble. But if you take the necessary precautions, so I'm telling the NFL, and I have an article on this on Nuts and Bolts Sports on Tuesday, I'm saying don't start till Halloween.
Well, I think that you could say Halloween. I don't know what's special that's going to happen in October that can't happen
I
today.
like to dress up as Little Bo Peep. That's why I like Halloween.
Oh, okay, you should be Little Bo. You'd be cute, I think so, with a little blonde hair, little curls. But again, it comes down to personal responsibility. These guys, when they're around their family, they should be a little bit more distant. And I get it; it's going to be hard when you have a little kid. They're going to be running to you, and it's going to be difficult. It's an outdoor sport. It's going to be a little bit more safe than like basketball. The fact they had no choice in hockey, they have no choice of a bubble like that. That doesn't work without it. The baseball is a personal responsibility. These guys think they're above it, that they can't get it. A lot of them get it. When a team gets it, they should be shut down for 6 days, or at least 10 days. In baseball, that's about 4 or 5 baseball games. Those 5 games be considered a tie, and that's it. And by the way, I have the Oculus Quest, and I didn't realize that I can actually watch these games from my virtual
Rico,
reality.
you're speaking a language that I don't know because I don't have the financial stability that you have. So talk about, you have a virtual reality thing and you can watch the games like you're at courtside, correct?
Yeah, so they on the Oculus Quest, when you put it on, you can actually go to comedy shows and sit front row. You get front row seat for everything, and you're there. And because you're there, there's a camera guy there that's probably got a whole big headset that you're actually more engaged, because the comedian or whoever's on stage knows he's talking to, when he's looking at that particular guy, he's talking to 100,000 people. So they're doing that in the NBA, and I totally forgot that I can go put that on and sit front row in an NBA
So you
game.
have the virtual reality goggles. Now my question to you is, are you going to develop a problem like Big Ben watching porn on the virtual reality goggle?
No, I'm good. My wife may hate me, but I'm good.
All right, Rico, thanks so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
We'll have you on next week. And just before you go, I just want to know, Rico, which one is your favorite Pittsburgh Steeler background? We got this one, and then we have the old school one right there. This is one my brother Pete thought I should use most of the time, or this one.
I like this one. I kind of like this one because it's a little rough and gruff, like me.
Yeah, it's like you see it at a bar, right, or something, right? It's not
Yeah,
like,
yeah, like some drunk guy wrote, some drunk
yeah,
artist did it.
yeah. So this is good. This is good, but this is your favorite moving forward.
Yes.
All right. Rico, thank you so much. Listen, you're not really on Twitter that much, but your thing is Facebook. So how can people follow you on Facebook?
Rico Graziano on Facebook. Pam can friend request me anytime she wants. She'll get an immediate response. Confirm.
Rico, a lot of people think I should use this as the background for you. They say you look like a Sopranos character.
You know, when he passed away, when James Gandolfini passed away, people would literally text me, and I was like, I've never met the guy. I have no idea I've never. So I don't know why, but you know what? When we stop making the football picks, we can use that.
All right, that sounds good. In the offseason,
Right.
Rico, thank you so much for joining us. Love having
Thank
you
you.
on. You're definitely a fan favorite. We'll see you next week.
All right, love you, buddy.
Take care, man. All right, that was Rico Show Me the Money Graziano doing a tremendous job. And now we're going to close the show. Before we close the show, I want to thank everyone for listening to the full Monte Sports Show. Again, feel free to follow Nuts and Bolts Sports on Facebook, on Twitter, and subscribe to their YouTube channel. You can follow me. My Twitter handle right there is Monte, MONTEJP231. And now we have Monte's Extra Point. I love this just because my brother always says when he doesn't care about a game, he says, I'm rooting for the refs. I'm rooting for the referees. So he's not rooting for the referees in this particular thing. So I think it's funny. So my extra point is this. Look, I never looked at athletes as role models. The stories I could tell you about athletes, a lot of stories I could tell you about comedians or actors that I know firsthand, secondhand are horrible. So athletes to me have never been a role model. But when you see athletes kneeling and trying to make a difference, like we see Colin Kaepernick, who tried to make a difference. Now, people are now calling this. You're going to see this all over the NBA. You saw this with Major League Baseball. And if we have a football season, you're going to see players kneeling. And you're going to see politicians who say this is un-American. Now, look, I don't care if a player kneels. I don't care if a player stands. It has no bearing on my view. There are two things that I do not tolerate when it comes to sports. If a person, a football player, a basketball player, a hockey player, or baseball player, or a UFC fighter commits domestic violence on his partner, I do not tolerate that. I will not support that person. If a person comes out and says racist things as an athlete, those are the two things I don't tolerate. Now, people say, well, Monty, what about athletes who cheat on their wives? I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I know that certain athletes, certain musicians have a rule. When they're on the road, what happens on the road stays at the road. Just don't bring it home. So I'm not going to condemn someone if they cheat on their wife or spouse. That is not who I am. When I date someone, I don't cheat. It's just me. If I'm unhappy, I'll end it. So I don't judge people by, their infidelities or whatever. But here's what I'm going to say. America was founded on peaceful protests. We have people in our government who wear the American flag every day. There's a member of Congress right now who worked at Ohio State as an assistant wrestling coach, and the Ohio State wrestlers were being sexually assaulted by a male trainer. He covered it up for 10 years. We have people in Congress, we have people in our government who have been accused of sexual assault over 21 times, who've been accused by rape by a 13-year-old, by their ex-wife. And they're telling me that this is not what America stands for? No one is punching anyone. No one is saying that you have to kneel or stand, and if you don't do it, I'm going to punch you. They're peacefully protesting. And let me just be very clear on this point. Let me be very clear on this point. If you think this is okay in America, who's supposed to be a free country where a group of radical right-wingers dressed as police officers in military uniforms are kidnapping peaceful protesters is right, and this is wrong, and this is wrong, you're on the wrong side of history, dude. Like this guy. You're on the wrong side of history. This is what America is about. Peacefully protesting injustices to bring about change. And that's the America I want. I don't want this America where you're an old fossil who says if you don't kneel, you should be kicked out of the country or leave the country. I don't want this America. I want unity. I want everyone to be treated equally. And that's the America that I want. And that's the America that I'm going to keep fighting for to live in. Sports figures are finally speaking out. And it's not about right or left, it's about right and wrong. It's about right and wrong. So, again, I don't look to my athletes as role models, but when they speak out against injustices, wherever they are, I'm all for it. I want to thank everyone for listening to the full Monte Sports Show. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank our guests, Brandon Jackson and Jay Andrews from Titletown Brawl, George Lopez out in LA, and Rico Show Me the Money Graziano. You've been watching the full Monte Sports Show, and as Arnold Schwarzenegger once said, I'll be back. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next Sunday.